Welcome once again to Me and Geography. That's my YouTube channel. I kindly request you to continue viewing and subscribing to this channel. In the last episode, we dealt with the pre-field activities, the major four pre-field activities, that is PTOM, as simply summarized. P stands for the pilot study, which is done by a teacher to seek permission from the field. T stands for topic or formulation of the topic of study. O stands for the objectives or formulation of the objectives of fieldwork study. We looked at that. And then M, which stands for determining the methods of data collection. Today we want to continue from those activities. Apart from those four, there are some more other activities that are carried out in preparation for the field. Before you obviously go for the field, you need to know how you're going to collect the information. In other words, that activity is known as securing the tools to use during data collection. What do you need basically? You need to have obviously a notebook with you, a pen with you, a pencil where necessary. You need measuring equipment such as the tape measures, the weighing scales, meter rulers, a GPS for those who know a GPS, that is the global positioning system or device. And then basically you also need the questionnaires in the field to ask questions from and get information. So as a student, when you know an exam, how do you note such an activity? You say we, that is if you went as a group, or I if you went as an individual, determined the tools to use during the collection of data in the field, such as. When you say such as means now you bring in what you used to collect that information in the field. So from formulation of from determining the tools, we can now in preparation for the field now form study groups. So there's an activity of formulation of study groups, and this one is normally guided by the teacher in class or in an environment where you are. He groups you into groups. He or she groups you into sections that will be easier or that will help to get information to reach out to all other things in the field, other aspects in the field. For example, you may note it as we formulated study groups led by our teacher, whereby maybe one of the group was supposed to maybe find out the location of the area, and maybe the other was to find out perhaps the future plans, etc., whatever you have set out to achieve in the field. When information is collected in groups, it helps a lot in covering a larger area than all groups moving at the same time. So this group is responsible for a particular activity, the other is responsible for the other, as well as so many other groups. Literature review. This is an activity that most students really want to talk about. But in literature review, it means before you go to the field, you're supposed to read what other scholars have written about that particular area where you're going. So it helps you in understanding what you're going to study. For instance, it may help you to understand a relationship that is in the field that you should be interested in that case. So we are saying this involves reading materials related to information about the place where you're going to carry out research or fieldwork. So how may you present it? You say, we read a journal, maybe, if you read a journal, about the relief of, you mentioned the area where you're going, and then its influence on the surrounding areas. Maybe the relationship there could be about relief and land use. So when you go to the field, you go well knowing what is there in that case. Then obviously before you go for a field, you need to get permission from the relevant authorities. For a school setting, obviously it is the head teacher, maybe the principal or the director, etc. For other research institutions, could be the heads of departments, etc. So here the researcher may ask for permission to carry out fieldwork from his or her superiors, funders for case of organizations, the head teacher maybe for a school setting. So how are you as a student supposed to present it? You're supposed to say, our teacher watch the test, sought for permission from the head teacher to allow us carry out fieldwork to, you mentioned that area where you are determined to go and collect information. So briefing. This is basic. Some people consider this the last activity, but it can equally be the second last activity, whereby Here you are expected to learn about what you're going to be doing in the field. In other words, here the teacher guides you, or a research guide guides you on how to behave or what you're going to do basically in the field. It gives you the guidelines in that case. Okay, gives you the guidelines in that case. So for our case, you're supposed to know the do's and the don'ts while in the field. So this may be presented as, in other words, okay, before we go there, the teacher will come and tell you, please, when you go into the field, greet the person you're going to interview. Try to be a little bit, you don't want to say discipline, but in other words, you are supposed to be appealing to these people because they don't know you. They don't know you. So in other words, you have to be appealing to them so that they will come in their area. So this may be presented as, we were briefed by our teacher who asked us to approach the people in the field politely and maintain discipline while interacting with them in the field. For example, if you're going to a learning site, these are fishing villages. People are known to be, some are known to be harsh. They may think you're a government worker, you've come to arrest them, maybe because you're using poor fishing gear. So you need to be at least appealing. So these are things which the teacher tells you in preparation for the field. In other words, if you're setting off soon, you are briefed how to dress up, which areas are you expected to tackle while in the field, and all that is in there. So this is what I normally consider the last activity, which is setting off. Some students are good at saying we boarded, which is okay. You may have boarded, but there are people who carry out field work without boarding the buses and etc. You can just walk to an area of field work. So the last activity I consider is setting off to the field. This is the last stage of in the preparation stage, or the last activity, sorry, in the preparation stage. Don't mind that. Okay. So in other words, this may be presented as, we set off for our fieldwork study to, you mentioned that area where you planning to go in the field. And then that basically summarizes the pre-field activities. Now, what should we note, or things to note about in the preparation for the field? I want to give you the final hints as you're attempting this part that basically requires you to hint on the activities that you carry out in preparation for the field. 1. The activities should be stated in the past tense. That is very important. In the past tense, and illustrations must be made. If you are saying there was a observation, you say I saw. That is the past tense. An illustration, what did you see? I saw the physical features at, you mentioned that what you saw. That is an illustration. Then the first 4 activities, that is the PTOM that we started with, are supposed to be presented or stated in a systematic order. In that order, it is supposed to be pilot study first, because that's what is done before going to the field. You formulate a topic. After formulating the topic, you determine what you're going to do, the objectives, and then the methods of calculation. The rest of the activities can be written interchangeably, but all in all, there should be a systematic approach. That is what qualifies you as a real researcher or as a field worker, in this case, or this geography paper. So I take this opportunity to say you have been such a wonderful audience. Thank you for viewing. I'm also requesting you to subscribe to my channel, that is Me and Geography. After subscribing, please go ahead and view the work we have made, and then remember to share the link with other people so that they can also learn from what we do. I wish you a good day.